On today's program, we have Martina Hill, who's an Essene minister and teacher. She's been teaching in Sonoma County for 10 years. She's run a spiritual center for 4 years and has taught around the area in Sebastopol and Cotati, having helped Dr. Gabriel Cousins with his events in Cotati and involved with the Peace 21 movement 4 times a year in Cotati. Peace 21 going on for 23 years now. Welcome, Martina Hill, to Go Vegan with Bob Linden. It's a pleasure to have you today.
Thank you, Bob. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you.
This time of the year to talk about this, as you were thinking.
Yes, So I'm told, well, Jesus is in Essene. What does that mean? What does that mean?
Well, let's talk about the Essenes. The ancient historians of let's put us in the intertestamental period, about 2,000 years ago, we're mentioning, and that would be Josephus, the Roman Jewish historian, and Philo of Alexandria, different parts of the world, but their information on the Essenes is quite in agreement. And they were a third sect of Judaism. You know, the big temple organizations would be the Pharisees, who were specialized in working with the legal manifestations of the law of Moses, and then the Sadducees, also strict, but big landowners and so forth. And then you have the Essenes, and many of them were Nazarites, meaning they grew their hair long. They went out to live by the shores of lakes often, and rivers and seas, and meditated. They practiced sacred silence, they had an initiatory teaching spiritually that took about 7 years to really master Essene spirituality, and that would be, dream interpretation, prophetic awareness, really good with breath work, and, and plus they were a charity organization. They banded together, oftentimes in communities, both your monkish males, mainly male community, which would be Qumran at the Dead Sea, the famous location of the Dead Sea Scrolls, and then Mount Carmel, School of the Prophets, and that's in the Galilean hills. That's an old temple. 1250 BC, it was well established, and Elijah and so forth had their prophecies there, and it's still protected by white, robed vegetarians. So that's the Mount Carmel. And then in Lake Mareotis in Alexandria. And, that's an interesting place because a lot of the traditions were blending together in Alexandria. You had the Greek philosophers and the Judaic philosophers, and you had yogis coming in, and, archives, the Library of Alexandria. So very interesting that the Essenes have sort of been what you call the mystics of the Judeo-Christian tradition. And so let me see, Essenes.
Okay.
They were vegetarians.
They were vegetarians.
To be 120 sometimes and beyond, very commonly to 100, in a time when people only lived to be 35. And they laid down a lot of principles of organic farming, and were great arboriculturalists, and ate lots of live foods, and they baked their bread in the sun.
I see sometimes in the health food store Essene bread. I noticed that's a vegan bread, right?
And that is part of an ancient tradition. They may or may not have been vegan, but the higher you went up into the organization, the more likely a vegan you would be, and maybe approaching breatharianism.
Well, I'm not ready for breatharian myself. Especially not in the LA smog when I'm down in Southern California.
Right.
So
there is a certain, I've seen some very hardy fasters get in some danger sometimes because, 6-month fast, and we're in an age of the dietary Olympians, and we as Essenes, we practice focusing on God, and sometimes we allow people to take a short journey straight to veganism and live foods. I mean, that's a wonderful dietary practice and the top of the line, I would say. But, we're also patient with people in their process.
Okay, and I like to push the process along a little faster myself.
You talked before that. He's a fast vegan man. I'm hopefully fast, but I take slow because I'm,
Right, you want to be patient with people, and I'm saying global warming and drought in California. There's no time, But I appreciate your patience.
Well, we give a lot of inspirational talks toward being that way. A lot about animal protection. We give information about the problems of our farming. John Robbins, for example, very popular with our organization, and so we try to give that information to encourage that. But
now this would also be
a loving group of people that allows people to go within and grow.
Sure, work at their own pace, and I'm trying to push their pace a little faster.
Well, yeah, we have people like you show up. Let's and then we have theologians. So, but
theologians would point to.
On the all in all can sometimes lead one toward that harmlessness, and that great reverent appreciation.
And we're just about running out of time, but of course the fundamental dietary law comes, from the book of Genesis, right? Genesis 1:29. Then God said, "Behold,
right.
I've given you every plant with seeds on the face of the earth, and every tree that has fruit with seeds. This will be your food." So that would be a basis for it. So what?
And also, may I quickly say that
Sure.
that we believe that we will end up there, and I believe that the whole planet will go back to original creation plan. And that even the animals would become less predatory. And there are scenes working on that right now, putting animals together and teaching them.
So there's a pretty good chance Jesus would have been a vegan then, right?
There's a very good chance, and we know he was a vegetarian. I mean, the evidence is overwhelming. And the Pope announced this a year ago, last Easter, that he believed Jesus to be a vegetarian. And so that opens a door, and that, for environmentalists and concerned lovers of all creation to walk through. I think that's wonderful.
Yes.
A lot of people don't know that the Pope announced this even.
We have been talking to Reverend Martina Hill, Essene minister, and is there a website, any further information that people can go to? We are just about out of time.
Yeah, one of my favorites, it's not my own, is the School of the Prophets, and that's at Essene.com. That's wonderful.
Okay.
Includes the Nazarene Way, great information. And my email, if you have personal questions to me, is martinahill77@AOL.com.
Thank you so much for being with us today, Martina.
Thank you, Bob.
Okay, so Jesus, yes, vegan animal rights activist, no doubt. Look at the work of Rin Berry, also his historical work. If you missed any of this interview, it's archived at goveganradio.com, where you can make a tax-deductible donation. Please do so. We need your help. We have to purchase the airtime each and every week from these radio stations, and we can't do it without you. Let's go vegan with Bob Linden.